Interesting news which we got today about breaking Israel news, and there we saw very interesting ideas brought by Rabbi Kessin, famous rabbi, who spoke a lot about Trump being elected as the president of the state. Many lectures he gave about it. He's very much for it, and as you will see in this breaking Israeli news, what he says about the situation. So this is what he says. Trump is a Messianic figure. UN is God, prominent Israel rabbi. This is what he says. Now let us see what he says. And this is what he says. A highly respected rabbi recently spoke in Jerusalem, labeling U.S. President Donald Trump a Messianic figure who will fulfill his campaign promise of making America great by purifying the country in preparation for the Messiah while fighting the United Nations, which the rabbi identifies as God. Now the rabbi is Rabbi Mendel Kessin, a rabbi who interprets modern events from the Torah perspective, gave a lecture 2 weeks ago in Jerusalem in which he emphatically stated that U.S. President Donald Trump is bringing the world closer to the Messiah. So this is what he says. Now, what he says here clearly, that Donald Trump is connected to Messianic figure, and as you will see now, tables which I did even before he was elected, clearly showing that this is what we understood, that he is connected with Cyrus, because Cyrus, exactly the same thing, he helped Jews at that time, Jews in Babylon, he helped them to settle back in Israel, promised them to help them. In fact, he even intended to build up the temple, to help them to do it, but we know that at that time, the Ishmaelites at that time disturbed it, the whole story did not come out. But basically the same idea, also like at that time, he helped Cyrus, Jews to settle in Israel. In fact, he is called, this is very important to know, that in Isaiah is called Messiah Hashem, called him, God calls him my Meshiachim, my Mashiach, right? So because Messiah in this case is really helping Jews to settle, to build themselves in their country. So in this point, definitely Donald Trump and Cyrus are basically the same. Now, very interesting connection with Cyrus and Donald Trump we found in different tables that we did with Richard Shaw, Bin Light. Very interesting tables we did, quite few of them, and we show you some of them, and one of them which is clearly shows that Donald Trump is identified with Cyrus. This one is a table which we did with Richard Shaw from Pinlight. Amazing when we heard about the threat that we know he was a British youngster, citizen who really wanted to murder him, and he wanted to grab the pistol, gun from the guard there, and in the end, definitely he was caught, the sentence. But amazingly, what you have here, very significant table. The first thing about this threat, so we have, this is a threat, by the way, the English word threat, Iyum, and this is a threat. The threat is on the year 577, which is Tafshin Zayin, by the parallel to all the others, and which threat? Murder, yes, murder, and even the date is here, in Hebrew, it's Kislev 5th, which is December 5th. And amazingly, parallel comes here, Donald Trump, D. Trump, definitely not the old name, but came D. Trump, which is very significant, who is a president in the United States. and parallel, which is very significant, especially as Dr. Rothenberg, who really became Orthodox Jews because of this program, because of realizing, he said that parallel are very significant. Also Professor Rip said the same thing. So Koresh, Cyrus come parallel to it, and amazingly, with minimal, the Messiah, HaMashiach. And as we said, the name Messiah for Cyrus is in the Torah, in Isaiah, in Ezra. So clearly shows that there is clear connection with the Donald Trump, and with the President of the United States and Cyrus and the Messiah. I mean, all of this coming definitely also in one book, and very, very interesting. So important and significant table, which really supports the idea of Rabbi Kessin. This is a table that we found before Donald Trump was elected, and only what we found here, that Donald Trump will be elected president to the state, and even the date came there also. It was the second month, which was here, November, and here the month Cheshvan comes here. Then what is interesting, you have the year also, 5777, and clearly showing that he is lover of Israel. Now, what is interesting, as we said in this table, that clearly indicated that he will be the president, will be elected. Now we are going to see another, it means the same table, but with much more details. This was done by Richard Shaw, as we said in Pinlight. But we are going to show now many more details about this election of Trump, which also clearly shows his connection to Messiah of God, to Cyrus. Now this is very complicated, many things, but this is really the basis of it, what we saw before in English, which we did in Richard Shaw, which was that Donald Trump will be elected on the 5th of Cheshvan, the 8th of Cheshvan, which is the 8th of November. As we said, everything minimum is all Torah. Then also in the state, lover of Israel, as we saw. Then what is very interesting is that we have also this year, Tafshin, which is destined for Messiah, and here are the unbelievable, amazing phenomena that you have here, as we said, Donald Trump, right, Trump here, and you have Mashiach Hashem, Messiah of God, and Messiah of the Lord your God. Now, might be very likely that, as we said, that he was called, Cyrus was called Mashiach Hashem because really he was helping Israel. And besides this, we have the real Messiah, which Mashiach, which is really the son of Jesse, which also comes here, son of Jesse ben Ishai. And then, what you have here, Cyrus, I mean, you have really Cyrus, Mashiach Hashem, and Mashiach Hashem. Now, also, what is important, as we said, all what is appearing here, the dates and so on of this year, but the most important thing is, definitely, we have to keep the Torah. לעשות את כל המצווה הזאת. You have to do all the commandments which I command you today. We have to, don't forget that all what we are dealing with is the Torah, which was the blueprint of creation. God says, in order to have really Messiah, to have peace, tranquility, you have to do all the commandments. Then the promise comes, God says, תבוא אל הארץ אשר לקחתם לך, you come to the land which God gave you, בירשתה, and be settled there. Amazing, this is a promise, but all the promise if you keep the mitzvot. So looking all together on the picture that you have now Cyrus, you have Donald Trump, who is coming here, who was elected on the Chet of Cheshvan. Yeah, it's amazing, Donald who was elected on the Chet of Cheshvan, Trump, comes here in red, Trump, and definitely President בארצות הברית, the word Nasi, President in the United States, a small skip, interested in the lover of Israel, and definitely showing that really what Rabbi Kessin said, that he's connected with Messiah, but as it looks to me, many proofs which I found that he connected with Koresh. We have in Hebrew concept which is like he's a spark of Cyrus, the aspirants of Cyrus, that they have something because anybody will help Israel, support Israel, help them to settle in their land, has to do with Mashiach Hashem and with Israel. But he says the most important thing is that you have to keep all the Torah, the mitzvot, not to desecrate the Shabbos, not to do everything, unfortunately, against the Torah, against purity of life, unfortunately, which you see in Israel. And only then really will have all this advantage of Koresh, of Cyrus, which is Donald, because if not, now exactly it can happen like it happened in the past. With Cyrus, it is told that unfortunately did not bring out what he wanted to bring because of Jews did not keep the Torah properly, see assimilation. So very interesting, very important and interesting tables. I have to watch it properly, definitely. As looking at it superficially, again, will not bring the benefit, because in order to appreciate it, you have to look into these tables properly, to see the good meeting, to see so things related are connected. And the idea is, in short, if you want really that Donald Trump will be able to help Israel, you need the purification of the state. Unfortunately, Obama allowed many things which are against the Torah. And we found clearly in some tables that the troubles that the state went through with the hurricanes and fires in California and so on clearly came out with the words homosexual and sexual sins. This exactly which unfortunately we believe, and Rabbi says that this can cause a lot of harm, damage to the state. And Trump understands it, and he himself says he wants to purify, to annul these terrible sins which are against the Torah. That means from the Torah you have to keep purity of life, definitely to be very careful about these matters. And this is really one of the 7 commandments, which also are for Gentiles. So let us hope that really, as Rabbi Kessin says, that this will bring the state to be great, to be a sample of really purity of life, and also that this will bring success to the state. As we see now, that's really for bourse and so on, things are going up. And no doubt this all to do a lot with matters of, as we said, sexual men and women, because we know quite well that because of homosexual and all these matters, the flood came to the world, and a lot of floods really were also in the state. So very important, significant tables, and let us hope that really this year, which is destined for Messiah, will bring Messiah, the real Messiah, together with definitely with Donald Trump, who prepares the way, as he said, for him to come.